I have the dishwasher as well as the dryer running, so I may have to either, in the middle of reading, I may have to go and deal with those once they finish, or I'll just, between chapters, I'll go take a peek. Let me just go double check the time real quick, the time left on it, and then we'll get started. Okay, it says about 20 minutes on the dishwasher, so I think that should give us enough time for one chapter. Let's see how it goes. I'm not sure if I'm going to do other stuff today other than reading. I might take a break at some point to go chill with some other stuff and then come back to reading. I'm not entirely sure. We could probably also just spend the entire day finishing the rest of the book. So we'll have to see how things progress in the moment. What the heck? That guy's crazy. I didn't see nothing, I just heard him. It's like, he's unreal. Almost sounded like he was about to crash or something. Okay, let me send this. Ogre. Put this up, easy peasy. I'm not sure if I prefer having one page on the screen or the 2 pages. The 1 pager or the 2 pager. I think they both have their own benefits, their own aesthetics, but I'm not sure what it would look like for like I guess for now I'll just leave it like this, the 2 pager. But in the future, I think when I do when I have my library and or reading room, then oh crap, I forgot to do the thingy. And we'll do the we'll have a spot for the book itself. Okay. Let's see, page 182. It's probably about 10, so around page 190 is when I expect the next chapter. 193. This one's a pretty long chapter. Okay. Let's get started then. Go back. Go back, go back, go back. Okay. Oh shit, let me get some water first. Yummy, yummy waters. Don't forget to stay hydrated. It's super duper important. Don't forget to have your nighttime water next to your bed for your Harry Potter bedtime story. Okay. Previously on Dragon Ball Z, it was the Halloween chapter. I guess we read 2 chapters, right? Let me go check the table of contents to review. So we did the Midnight Duel and Halloween, in which Malfoy challenged Harry Potter's to a midnight duel, but it was actually a ruse, and he sent Filch and Mrs. Norris after him in the trophy room. And then they saw this trapdoor guarded by a three-headed dog, a massive three-headed dog. And then the next chapter, Halloween's, is the Halloween day, in which Harry, I believe, received, or was it? It could have been chapter 9 when he received his broomstick, which is super cool, but he couldn't show anybody because nobody's yet allowed to know that he's a first year on the house team. And then in Halloween, it was a chapter where they said, "It's Leviosa, not Leviosa." That was that chapter. And then Hermione was being a woman, so she went to go to the bathroom to cry, and then she got attacked by the troll, and they bonked him on the head as a team, and she lied to save their skin from the wrath of Professor McGonagall. And that is where we left off. So now it is chapter 11, Quidditch, which is page 180. What's up, Arby's? What happened, buddy? Phew. Okay. Chapter 11, Quidditch. As they entered November, the weather turned very cold. The mountains around the school became icy gray, and the lake like chilled steel. Every morning, the ground was covered in frost. Hagrid could be seen from the upstairs windows defrosting broomsticks on the Quidditch field, bundled up in a long moleskin overcoat, rabbit fur gloves, and enormous beaver-skin boots. The Quidditch season had begun. On Saturday, Harry would be playing on his first match after weeks of training. Gryffindor versus Slytherin. If Gryffindor won, they would move up into second place in the house championship. Hardly anyone had seen Harry play because Wood had decided that, as their secret weapon, Harry should be kept, well, secret. But the news that he was playing Seeker had leaked out somehow, and Harry didn't know which was worse. People telling him he'd be brilliant, or people telling him they'd be running around underneath him holding a mattress. It was really lucky that Harry had now had Hermione as a friend. He didn't know how he'd have gotten through all his homework without her, what with all the last-minute Quidditch practice Wood was making them do. She had also lent him Quidditch Through the Ages, which turned out to be a very interesting read. Harry learned that there were 700... Wait a second, did I... I'm just now realizing, I think I put chapter 10. Oh, chapter... Okay. On my post, I thought I put chapter 10. It's okay. No, I am not as small-brained as I had anticipated there, so it's all good. I don't know why that just popped into my head as like a major red flag. Harry had learned that there were 700 ways of committing a Quidditch foul, and that all of them had happened during a World Cup match in 1473. That Seekers were usually the smallest and fastest players, and that most serious Quidditch accidents seemed to happen to them. That, although people rarely died playing Quidditch, referees had been known to vanish and turn up months later in the Sahara Desert. hang on a second. Do are Quidditch referees like subject? Only the referees, are they the only ones on the Quidditch pitch who are subject to like some strange Bermuda Triangle thing? Is there like a magical incantation or aura or force field where only the referees are affected by it, and then they're magically teleported to the Sahara Desert? That's interesting. I gotta know more about that. Maybe I gotta read that book that Hermione gave him, Quidditch Through the Ages. That's gonna have to be one of the books I added to my to-read list. Hermione had become a bit more relaxed about breaking rules since Harry and Ron had saved her from the mountain troll, and she was much nicer for it. The day before Harry's first Quidditch match, the three of them were out in the freezing courtyard during break, and she had conjured them up a bright blue fire that could be carried around in a jam jar. That's... I don't know why, for some reason, I think I have a hard time saying that. What the Christ? A jam jar. It sounds like it could be just a one word, a jam jar. Also makes me think of like Jar Jar, the Jar Jar Binks. The Jar Jar Binkses. And she had conjured them up a bright blue fire that could be carried around in a jam jar. They were standing with their backs to it, getting warm, when Snape crossed the yard. Harry noticed at once that Snape was limping. Harry, Ron, and Hermione moved closer together to block the fire from view. They were sure it wouldn't be allowed. Unfortunately, something about their guilty faces caught Snape's eye. He limped over. He hadn't seen the fire, but he seemed to be looking for a reason to tell them off anyway. "What's that you've got there, Potter?" It was Quidditch Through the Ages. Harry showed him. "Library books are not allowed to be..." Oops, there's no allowed there. "Library books are not to be taken outside the school," said Snape. "Give it to me. 5 points from Gryffindor." "He's just made that rule up," Harry muttered angrily as Snape limped away. "Wonder what's wrong with his leg." "Don't know, but I hope it's really hurting him," said Ron bitterly. The Gryffindor common room was very noisy that evening. Harry, Ron, and Hermione sat together next to a window. Hermione was checking Harry and Ron's charms homework for them. She would never let them copy. How will you learn? But by asking her to read it through, they got the right answers anyway. Harry felt restless. He wanted Quidditch Through the Ages back to change his mind off the nerves about tomorrow. To take his mind off the nerves about tomorrow. Why should he be afraid of Snape? Getting up, he told Ron and Hermione he was going to ask Snape if he could have it back. "Better you than me," they said together, but Harry had an idea that Snape wouldn't refuse if there were other teachers listening. Wouldn't they be called... Wouldn't she have written professors rather than teachers? That's a little weird, but... Tiny little nitpick. He made his way down to the staff room and knocked. There was no answer. He knocked again. Nothing. Perhaps Snape had left the book in there? It was worth a try. He pushed the door ajar and peered inside, and a horrible scene met his eyes. Snape and Filch were inside, alone. Snape was holding his robes above his knee. One of his legs was bloody and mangled. Filch was handing Snape bandages. "Blasted thing," Snape was saying. "How are you supposed to keep your eyes on all 3 heads at once?" Harry tried to shut the door quietly, but... "Potter!" Snape's face was twisted with fury as he dropped his robes. Maybe that's not the best phrasing there. Snape's face was twisted with fury as he dropped his robes quickly to hide his leg. Harry gulped. Was it his third leg that he was trying to hide? I just wondered if I could have my book back. Get out! Out! Harry left before Snape could take any more points from Gryffindor. He sprinted back upstairs. Did you get it? Ron asked as Harry joined them. What's the matter? What's the mattress? In a low whisper, Harry told them what he'd seen. You know what this means, he finished breathlessly. He tried to get past that three-headed dog at Halloween. That's where he was going when we saw him. He's after whatever it's guarding. And I'd bet my broomstick he let that troll in to make a diversion. Hermione's eyes were wide. No, he wouldn't, she said. I know he's not very nice, but he wouldn't try and steal something Dumbledore's was keeping safe. Dumbledore's. Honestly, Hermione, you think all teachers are saints or something, snapped Ron. I'm with Harry. I wouldn't put anything past Snape. But what's he after? What's that dog guarding? Harry went to bed with his head buzzing with the same question. Neville was snoring loudly, but Harry couldn't sleep. He tried to empty his mind. He needed to sleep. He had to. He had his first Quidditch match in a few hours. But the expression on Snape's face when Harry had seen his leg wasn't easy to forget. The next morning dawned very bright and cold. The great hall was full of delicious smell of fried sausages and the cheerful chatter of everyone looking forward to a good Quidditch match. Why can't I say Quidditch? Quidditch match. And the cheerful chatter of everyone looking forward to a good Quidditch match. You've got to get some breakfast. I just don't want anything. Just a bit of toast, wheedled Hermione. I'm not hungry. Harry felt terrible. In an hour's time, he'd be walking onto the field. Harry, you need your strength, said Seamus Finnegan. Seekers are always the ones to get clobbered by the other team. Thanks, Seamus, said Harry, watching Seamus pile ketchup on his sausages. This is the first chapter where there's like constant spaces to denote the passage of time. There's one here between Snape taking away his book, and then they're in the common rooms, and then the next page right after, there was when he's trying to get Snape's face out of his mind as he's trying to fall asleepings, and then the next morning there's a space there. And now here's another one right after Seamus piling ketchup onto his sausages. By 11 o'clock, the whole school seemed to be out in the stands around the Quidditch pitch. Many students had binoculars. The seats might be raised high in the air, but it was still difficult to see what was going on. Ron and Hermione joined Neville, Seamus, and Dean, the West Ham fan, up in the top row. As a surprise for Harry, they had painted a large banner on one of the sheets Scabbers had ruined. It said, Potter for President, and Dean, who was good at drawing, had done a large Gryffindor lion underneath. Why? Are there like house presidents or something? Why would they say seems like more of a... Is this just in the American? I'm curious now. Page 184. Let's go look it up. See if the original version also has Potter for president. Would it say Potter for prime minister or something, or Potter for king? Let's see, Harry Potter British version, page 184. I hope these are the same. Quidditch here. Nope, these pages are different. We are on chapter 11, Quidditch. Nicholas Flamel, that's too far. Mirror of Erised. Quidditch, here we go. Toast, I'm not hungry. Okay, sheets carrot. Okay, it said Potter for president. It does say the same thing on the British version. I guess I assume this is. Let's go see if Control F for soccer. See if it's here. It's not here. What if I type in football? Football is here, so this is definitely the British version. Why would this say president? I don't. That's pretty weird. Okay. That's a little strange, but I'm not sure what exactly. Is that like a reference to something else? Seems a little bizarre to have something like a slogan that says Potter for president. I'm not sure what it could possibly be referring to, unless it's just they're just making fun of Americans or whatever. That's supposed to be the joke. I hear the Bugses. The Japanese Bugses. The ones that they always put in the animes. Okay. Potter for president. Aunt Dean, who was good at drawing, had done a large Gryffindor lion underneath. Then Hermione had performed a tricky little charm so that the paint flashed different colors. Is it supposed to be like a rainbow? Is it a pride? A pride Griffin? A pride of lions? Is that what this is? The pride of Gryffindor lions? That says Potter for president? Look, all along from the beginning she was an ally. It's right here. It's right here. In your head. Meanwhile, in the locker room, Harry and the rest of the team were changing into their scarlet Quidditch robes. Slytherin would be playing in green. Wood cleared his throat for silence. Okay, men, he said. And women, said Chaser Angela Johnson. And woman, Wood agreed. This is it. The big one, said Fred Weasley. The one we've all... Oh. I think that's the dishwasher now. Fuck. I will be right back. Unlucky. Well, at least we got the dishwasher done before the actual Quidditch match, so I can focus on the match. The only other thing I gotta keep an eye out for, or keep an ear out for, is the dryer. So, be right back. I should have probably turned on the music, but whatever. It is what it is. What the heck? YouTube is telling me my audio's bitrate is lower than recommended. Why is it giving me this warning? It's very rarely ever given me this. This message. So why is it doing it now? I don't even think I changed my audio bitrate at all. It's just like the standard. Whatever, I'll just leave it. I'm pretty sure it's not a big deal. No biggie. Okay, where were we? Up here. No. So we are in the Quidditch Gryffindor locker rooms. Wood cleared his throat for silence. Okay, men, he said. And women, said Chaser Angelina Johnson. And women, Wood agreed. This is it. The big one, said Fred Weasley. The one we've all been waiting for, said George. We know Oliver's speech by heart, Fred told Harry. We were on the team last year. Shut up, you two, said Wood. This is the best team Gryffindor's had in years. We're going to win. I know it. He glared at them. If I could get a zoom in a little bit, what the heck? I was like, this isn't the size of the words that I had before. He glared at them all, as if to say, or else. Right, it's time. Good luck, all of you. Harry followed Fred and George out of the locker room, and, hoping his knees weren't going to give way, walked onto the field to loud cheers. Madame Hooch was refereeing. She stood in the middle of the field waiting for the two teams, her broom in her hand. Now I want a nice fair game, all of you, she said, once they were all gathered around her. Harry noticed that she seemed to be speaking particularly to the Gryffindor. Fuck. I thought for sure I was going to get that one correct there. Harry noticed that she seemed to be speaking particularly to the Slytherin captain, Marcus Flint, a fifth year. Harry thought Flint looked as if he had some troll blood in him. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw the fluttering banner high above, flashing, Potter for president, over the crowd. His heart skipped. He felt braver. What happened? What is it? Well, you want to be here for the Gryffindor match too? Come here. Come on. Get up here. Get up here. Well, are you just going to stand there looking? Okay. She wants to go on the bed instead. She is a bed kitten. She is a bed kitten, not bad. Bed. Bed. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw the fluttering banner high above, flashing, Potter for president, over the crowd. His heart skipped. He felt braver. Mount your brooms, please. Harry clambered onto his Nimbus 2000. Madame Hooch gave a loud blast on her silver whistle. 15 brooms rose up high, high into the air. They were off. And the quaffle is taken immediately by Angelina Johnson of Gryffindor. What an excellent chaser that girl is. And rather attractive, too. Jordan. Sorry, Professor. The Weasley twins' friend, Lee Jordan, was doing the commentary for the match, closely watched by Professor McGonagall. And she's really belting along up there. A neat pass to Alicia Spinnet, a good find of Oliver Woods, last year's only a reserve. Back to Johnson, and No! The Slytherins have taken the quaffle. Slytherin Captain Marcus Filch gains the quaffle, and off he goes. Flint, flying like an eagle up there. He's going to No! Stopped by an excellent move by Gryffindor Keeper Wood, and the Gryffindors take the quaffle. That's Chaser Katie Bell of Gryffindor there. Nice dive around Flint, off up the field, and ouch! That must have hurt. Hit in the back of the head by a bludger. Quaffle taken by the Slytherins. That's Adrian Pussy. Pussy? Puce? How are you supposed to pronounce it? It's Pucey. I'm just going to read it as Pussy, because why not? Quaffle taken by the Slytherins. That's Adrian Pussy speeding off toward the goalpost, but he's blocked by a second bludger. Sent his way by Fred or George Weasley, can't tell which. Nice play by the Gryffindor beater anyway, and Johnson back in possession of the quaffle. A clear field ahead, and off she goes. She's really flying. Dodges a speeding bludger. The goalposts are ahead. Come on now. Now, Angelina. Keeper Bletchley dives. Misses. Gryffindor scores. Gryffindor cheers filled the cold air with howls and moans from the Slytherins. Budge up there. Move along. Hagrid. Ron and Hermione squeezed together to give Hagrid enough space to join them. I don't know if it's mentioned it here, but I guess Ron would have told Hermione about Hagrid. Because I think the only instances in which Hermione and Hagrid have met so far at this point in the story is when they arrived and he took them on the boats across the lake. Across the lake toward Hogwarts. That's pretty weird. Also, what the heck is this? How do I... There's this weird thingy. Let me see. Ah! Why is there this thing here? There's this weird thingy on my overlay. Can I... Strange. I don't know how to get rid of it. How about if I just... This might cut off some of the text. But let's try this, see if that works. I've never seen that before. I don't know why that's there. What if I type a paragraph? Let's see. What if I type a paragraph to see whether or not it will be cut off from the overlay, or if it'll be fine regardless. Just want to type a somewhat long chat message to see if that will... No, that does cut it off. Why is that there? That's never been there. Strange. Very, very strange. I guess we'll leave it like this for the time being. What I could also do is just bring back the old chat. I think that's what I'll do right now. Yeah. Okay, give me a second. We will continue the story in a little bit. After I fix this thingy real quick. I think it's kind of like a developer thing where they put this on their the overlay thing that they developed themselves. And like to denote that this is their code that you're using. Okay, what if we do this? Okay, this one seems much better. Although the problem with this one is that there are no 7TV emotes on this this YouTube overlay, unfortunately. But we'll leave it like this for the time being. Okay, back to the Quidditch. Barge up there, move along. Hagrid! Ron and Hermione squeezed together to give Hagrid enough space to join them. That must be a lot of space they're giving him. Been watching from your hut, said Hagrid, patting a large pair of binoculars around his neck. But it isn't the same as being in the crowd. No sign of the snitch yet, eh? Nope, said Ron. Harry hasn't had much to do yet. Kept out of trouble, though, that's something, said Hagrid, raising his binoculars and peering skyward at the speck that was Harry. Way up above them, Harry was gliding over the game, squinting about for some sign of the snitch. This was part of his and Wood's game plan. I've always been curious, what is the seeker allowed or not allowed to touch the quaffle, or are they allowed to bait the bludgers to chase them instead of their teammates or whatever? We'd have to go either, if it exists, I would have to go look into the rule book for Quidditch, or I would have to pester and bug Joanne until she writes it or just tells me personally exactly the full entire rule book of Quidditch and what the seekers are and are not allowed to do. Whether or not they are allowed to temporarily perform the roles of the rest of the team in like little tiny snippets and such. This was part of his and Wood's game plan. Keep out of the way until you catch sight of the snitch, Wood had said. We don't want you attacked before you have to be. When Angelina had scored, Harry had done a couple of... What? What happened? What happened, buddy? Meow. Okay. When Angelina had scored, Harry had done a couple of loop-de-loops to let off his feelings. Now he was back to staring around for the snitch. Once he caught sight of a flash of gold, but it was just a reflection from one of the Weasleys' wristwatches. And once a bludger decided to come pelting his way, more like a cannonball than anything. But Harry dodged it, and Fred Weasley came chasing after it. All right there, Harry, he had time to yell, as he beat the bludger furiously toward Marcus Flint. I feel like I ate half of those words there. All right there, Harry, he had time to yell, as he beat the bludger furiously toward Marcus Flint. Slytherin in possession, Lee Jordan was saying. Chaser Pussy ducks 2 bludgers, 2 Weasleys, and Chaser Bell and speeds toward the... Wait a moment. Was that the snitch? A murmur ran through the crowd as Adrian Pussy dropped the quaffle, too busy looking over his shoulder at the flash of gold that has too busy looking over his shoulder at the flash of gold that had passed his left ear. Harry saw it. In a great rush of excitement, he dived downward after the streak of gold. Slytherin seeker Terence Higgs had seen it too. Neck and neck, they hurtled toward the snitch. All the chasers seemed to have forgotten what they were supposed to be doing as they hung in midair to watch. Harry was faster than Higgs. He could see the little round ball, wings fluttering, darting up ahead. He put on an extra spurt of speed. Wham! A roar of rage echoed from the Gryffindors below. Marcus Flint had blocked Harry on purpose, and Harry's broom spun off course, Harry holding on for dear life. "Foul!" screamed the Gryffindors. Madam Hooch spoke angrily to Flint, and then ordered a free shot at the goalpost for Gryffindor. But, in all the confusion, of course, the golden snitch had disappeared from sight again. Down in the stands, Dean Thomas was yelling, "Send him off, ref! Red card!" I didn't know there were cards in Gryffindor too. I think I read the first book when I was like in middle school, I believe. So I just completely forgot all of these little tiny details, like the fact that there's fucking cards in Gryffindor apparently. In Gryffindor in Quidditch. Ouchie. It's kind of annoying when I always want to keep changing the way that I'm sitting. Sometimes I want my legs up, sometimes I want them down, sometimes I want them crossed. Red card. Here we go. Oh, hang on. Maybe there are no. Maybe there are no red cards as revealed in this next paragraph here. "Send him off, ref. Red card." "What are you talking about, Dean?" said Ron. "Red card," said Dean furiously. "In soccer, you get shown the red card and you're out of the game." "But this isn't soccer, Dean," Ron reminded him. Hagrid, however, was on Dean's side. Right. Hagrid likes football. Right. They ought to change the rules. Flint could have knocked Harry out of the air. Lee Jordan was finding it difficult not to take sides. "So, after that obvious and disgusting bit of cheating—" "Jordan!" growled Professor McGonagall. "I mean, after that open and revolting foul—" "Jordan, I'm warning you." All right. Flint nearly killed the Gryffindor Seeker, which could happen to anyone, I'm sure, so a penalty to Gryffindor taken by Spinnet, who puts it away, no trouble, and we continue play. Gryffindor still in possession." It was as Harry dodged another bludger, which went spinning dangerously past his head, that it happened. His broom gave a sudden, frightening lurch. For a split second, he thought he was going to fall. He gripped the broom tightly with both his hands and knees. He'd never felt anything like that. It happened again. It was as though the broom was trying to buck him off. But Nimbus 2000s did not suddenly decide to buck their riders off. Harry tried to turn back toward the Gryffindor goalposts. He had half a mind to ask Wood to call time out, and then he realized that his broom was completely out of his control. He couldn't turn it. He couldn't direct it at all. It was zigzagging through the air, and every now and then making violent swishing movements that almost unseated him. Lee was still commentating. "Slytherin in possession. Flint with the quaffle. Passes Spinnet. Passes Bell. Hit hard in the face by a bludger. Hope it broke his nose. Only joking, Professor. Slytherins scores." Oh no! The Slytherins were cheering. No one seemed to have noticed that Harry's broom was behaving strangely. It was carrying him slowly higher, away from the game, jerking and twitching as it went. "I don't know what Harry thinks he's doing," Hagrid mumbled. I just remembered about Hagrid, our favorite new fanfic character that I created. "Don't know what Harry thinks he's doing," Hagrid mumbled. He stared through his binoculars. "If I didn't know any better, I'd say he's lost control of his broom. But he can't have..." Suddenly, People were pointing up at Harry all over the stands. His broom had started to roll over and over, with him only just managing to hold on. He's doing a barrel roll. Then the whole crowd gasped. Harry's broom had given a wild jerk, and Harry swung off it. He was now dangling from it. Holding on with only one hand. Did something happen to it when Flint blocked him? Seamus whispered. Can't have, Hagrid said, his voice shaking. Can't nothing interfere with the broomstick except powerful dark magic. No kid could do that to a Nimbus 2000. At these words, Hermione seized Hagrid's binoculars, but instead of looking up at Harry, she started looking frantically at the crowd. What are you doing? Moaned Ron, grey-faced. I knew it, Hermione gasped. Snape, look! Ron grabbed the binoculars. Snape was in the middle of the stands opposite them. He had his eyes fixed on Harry and was muttering non-stop under his breath. He's doing something, jinxing the broom, said Hermione. What should we do? Leave it to me. Before Ron could say another word, Hermione had disappeared. Ron turned the binoculars back on Harry. His broom was vibrating so hard, it was almost impossible for him to hang on much longer. The whole crowd was on its feet. It's like I said, feet, like just by pure instinct. The whole crowd was on its feet, watching, terrified, as the Weasleys flew up and tried to pull Harry safely onto one of their brooms, but it was no good. Every time they got near him, the broom would jump higher still. They dropped lower and circled beneath him, obviously hoping to catch him if he fell. Marcus Flint seized the quaffle and scored 5 times without anyone noticing. Come on, Hermione, Ron muttered desperately. Hermione had fought her way across to the stand where Snape stood, and was now racing along the row behind him. She didn't even stop to say sorry as she knocked Professor Quirrell head first into the row in front. Reaching Snape, she crouched down, pulled out her wand, and whispered a few well-chosen words. Bright blue flames shot from her wand onto the hem of Snape's robes. It took perhaps 30 seconds for Snape to realize that he was on fire. A sudden yelp told her that she had done her job. Scooping the fire off him into a little jar in her pocket, she scrambled back along the row. Snape would never know what had happened. It was enough. Up in the air, Harry was suddenly able to clamber back onto his broom. Neville, you can look, Ron said. Neville had been sobbing into Hagrid's jacket for the last 5 minutes. Harry was speeding toward the ground when the crowd saw him clap his hands to his mouth as though he was about to be sick. He hit the field on all fours, coughed, and something gold fell into his hand. I've got the snitch, he shouted, waving it above his head, and the game ended in complete confusion. He didn't catch it, he nearly swallowed it. Flint was howling 20 minutes later, but it made no difference. Harry hadn't broken any rules, and Lee Jordan was still happily shouting the results. Gryffindor had won by 170 points to 60. Harry heard none of this, though. He was being made a cup of strong black... Harry heard none of this, though. He was being made a cup of strong tea back in Hagrid's hut with Ron and Hermione. It was Snape, Ron was explaining. Hermione and I saw him. He was cursing your broomstick, muttering he wouldn't take his eyes off you. Rubbish, said Hagrid, who hadn't heard... Fuck. Why are there so many H's? There's Hagrid, who, hadn't, and heard. Why would she do this? Why would Joanne choose to do this? Unreal. Rubbish, said Hagrid, who hadn't heard a word of what had gone on. Who hadn't. What? What had? Who hadn't heard a word of what had? Holy moly, what a sentence. I think an editor needed to go through this sentence again. My head is just like a little bit dizzy right now. What the heck? It must be all the H's that are making me fumble on all of these words. Rubbish, said Hagrid, who hadn't heard a word of what had gone on next to him in the stands. Why would Snape do something like that? Harry, Ron, and Hermione looked at one another, wondering what to tell him. Harry decided on the truth. I found out something about him, he told Hagrid. He tried to get past that three-headed dog on Halloween. It bit him. We think he was trying to steal whatever it's guarding. Hagrid dropped the teapot. How do you know about Fluffy? He said. Fluffy? Yeah, he's mine. Brought him off a creep chappie I met in the pub last year. I lent him to Dumbledore to guard the... Yes? Said Harry eagerly. Now, don't ask me any more, said Hagrid gruffly. That's top secret information, that is. But Snape's trying to steal it. Rubbish, said Hagrid again. Snape's a Hogwarts teacher. He'd do nothing of the sort. So why did he just try to kill Harry? Cried Hermione. The afternoon's events certainly seemed to have changed her mind about Snape. I know a jinx when I see one, Hagrid. I've read all about him. You've got to keep eye contact, and Snape wasn't blinking at all. I saw him. I'm telling you, you're wrong, said Hagrid hotly. I don't know why Harry's broom acted like that, but Snape wouldn't try and kill a student. Now, listen to me, all of you. You're meddling in something that don't concern you. It's dangerous. You forget that dog, and you forget what it's guarding. That's between Professor Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel. Aha, said Harry. So there's someone called Nicholas Flamel involved, is there? Hagrid looked furious with himself. He didn't say the line. He's supposed to say, I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that. That's what he should have said. But anyway, that there is the end of this chapter. Of chapter 11, Quidditch. Next up is chapter 12, The Mirror of Erised. But time for a quick break, quick water break and throat resting break. So I will be right back. we are back. Back in black. I think probably what I'm gonna have to do in order to get the proper voices is I have to, whenever I see quotations, I have to take a moment to pause and see who's speaking, as opposed to just trying to assume who it is. It'll probably not be as cool on stream, but when I do the final audio file of the audiobook, then it'll just be a quicker one-time edit. I don't have to pinpoint the voice afterward. I can just start right away. Just pinpoint the character to begin with. Okay. Chapter 12, The Mirror of Edized. And the image, the chapter artwork is Harry on the left side, and ahead of him, maybe 3 or 4 feet, maybe more like 5 feet ahead of him, there is a very tall, elegantly bordered mirror. And it's showing the outline of maybe 3 people or something like that. I don't know. I'm not sure what to expect of this chapter. Nah, not me. Chapter 12, The Mirror of Edized. Christmas was coming. One morning in mid-December, Hogwarts woke to find itself covered in several feet of snow. The lake froze solid, and the Weasley twins were punished for bewitching several snowballs so that they followed Quirrell around, bouncing off the back of his turban. The few owls that managed to battle their way through the snowy sky to deliver mail had to be nursed back to health again by Hagrid before they could fly off again. There's not an again there at the beginning. The few owls that managed to battle their way through the stormy sky to deliver mail had to be nursed back to health by Hagrid before they could fly off again. No one could wait for the holidays to start. While the Gryffindor common room and the Great Hall had roaring fires, the drafty corridors had become icy, and a bitter wind rattled the windows in the classrooms. Worst of all were Professor Snape's classes down in the dungeons, where their breath rose in a mist before them, and they kept as close as possible to their hot cauldrons. Fuck, what the heck was the Malfoy voice? I do feel so sorry, said Draco Malfoy, one potions class, for all those people who have to stay at Hogwarts for Christmas because they're not wanted home. He was looking over at Harry as he spoke. Crabbe and Goyle chuckled. Harry, who was measuring out powdered spine of lionfish, ignored them. Malfoy had been even more unpleasant than usual since the Quidditch match. Disgusted that the Slytherins had lost, he had tried to get everyone laughing at how a wide-mouthed tree frog would be replacing Harry as Seeker next. Then he'd realized that nobody found this funny, because they were all so impressed at the way Harry had managed to stay on his bucking broomstick. So Malfoy, jealous and angry, had gone back to taunting Harry about having no proper family. It was true that Harry wasn't going back to Privet Drive for Christmas. Professor McGonagall had come around the week before, making a list of students who would be staying for the holidays, and Harry had signed up at once. He didn't feel sorry for himself at all. This would probably be the best Christmas he'd ever had. Ron and his brothers were staying too, because Mr. and Mrs. Weasley were going to Romania to visit Charlie. Charlie as in Moist Critical? What the heck? They're gonna go visit the Moist Esports headquarters. When they left the dungeons at the end of Potions, they found a large fir tree blocking the corridor ahead. 2 enormous feet sticking out at the bottom, and a loud puffing sound told them that Hagrid was behind them. "Hi, Hagrid. Want any help?" Ron asked, sticking his head through the branches. "No, I'm all right, thanks, Ron." "Would you mind moving out of the way?" came Malfoy's cold drawl from behind them. "Are trying to earn some extra money, Weasley? Hoping to be gamekeeper yourself when you leave Hogwarts, I suppose. That hut of Hagrid's must seem like a palace compared to what your family's used to." Ron dived at Malfoy just as Snape came up the stairs. "Weasley." Ron let go of the front of Malfoy's robes. "He was provoked, Professor Snape," said Hagrid, sticking his huge hairy face out from behind the tree. "Malfoy was insulting his family." "Be that as it may, fighting is against Hogwarts rules, Hagrid," said Snake silkily. 5 points from Gryffindor, Weasley, and be grateful it isn't more. Move along, all of you." Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle pushed roughly past the tree, scattering needles everywhere and smirking. "I'll get him," said Ron, grinding his teeth at Malfoy's back. "One of these days, I'll get him." "I hate them both," said Harry, Malfoy and Snape. Come on, cheer up, it's nearly Christmas," said Hagrid. "Tell you what, come with me and see in the Great Hall. Wait, what the heck? Tell you what, come with me and see the Great Hall. Looks a treat. What the fuck does that mean? Looks a treat. Tell you what, come with me and see the Great Hall. Looks a treat." So the three of them followed Hagrid and his tree off to the Great Hall, where Professor McGonagall and Professor Flitwick were busy with the Christmas decorations. I don't know who's talking. I assume it's Professor McGonagall. Hagrid, the last tree. Put it in the far corner with you." That was fucking Seamus' voice. What the heck? Oh no. Hagrid. I forgot her voice. Let's go find another one of her lines. Fuck. Okay, maybe it doesn't really matter that much, actually. Hagrid, the last tree. Put it in the far corner with you." The hall looked spectacular. Festoons of... Is it supposed to be holly? I think so. Festoons of holly and mistletoe hung all around the walls. Wait a second, are they trying to get the students to kiss each other? What is this? Some of them are fucking minors. Fucking groomers, dude. What the heck? Festoons of holly and mistletoe hung all around the walls, and no less than 12 towering Christmas trees stood around the room, some sparkling with tiny icicles, some glittering with hundreds of candles. "How many days have you got left until your holidays?" Hagrid asked. "Just one," said Hermione. "And that reminds me. Harry, Ron, we've got half an hour before lunch. We should be in the library." "Oh yeah, you're right," said Ron, tearing his eyes away from Professor Flitwick, who had golden bubbles blossoming out of his wand and was trailing them over the branches of the new tree. "The library?" said Hagrid, following them out of the hall. "Just before the holidays? Bit keen, aren't you?" "Oh, we're not working," Harry told him brightly. Ever since you mentioned that Nicholas Flamel, we've been trying to find we've been trying to find out who he is." "You what? You what?" Gotta do the flick voice. "You what?" Hagrid looked shocked. Fuck. No, I just want to keep doing the flick voice. Makes sense too, because they're both Scottish. It's kind of annoying still that I had to keep moving the way I sit, which also means my height keeps changing, which also means I have to change the height of the mic and the mic stand. "You what?" Hagrid looked shocked. "Listen here, I told you, drop it. It's nothing to you. It's nothing to you what that dog's garden." "We just want to know who Nicholas Flamel is, that's all," said Hermione. "Unless you'd like to tell us and save us all the trouble," Harry added. We must have been through hundreds of books already, and we can't find him anywhere. Just give us a hint. I know I've read his name somewhere." "I ain't saying nothing," said Hagrid flatly. "Didn't do nothing." "Just have to find out for ourselves then," said Ron, and they left Hagrid looking disgruntled and hurried off to the library. They had indeed been searching books for Flamel's name ever since Hagrid had let it slip, because how else were they going to find out what Snape was trying to steal? The trouble was, it was very hard to know where to begin, not knowing what Flamel might have done to get himself into a book. He wasn't in Great Wizards of the 20th Century, or Notable Magical Names of Our Time. He was missing, too, from Important Modern Magical Discoveries and a study of recent developments in wizardry. And then, of course, there was the sheer size of the library. Tens of thousands of books, thousands of shelves, hundreds of narrow rows. Hermione took out a list of subjects and titles she had decided to search, while Ron strode off down a row of books and started pulling them off the shelves at random. Harry wandered over to the restricted section. He had been wondering for a while if Flamel wasn't somewhere in there. Unfortunately, you needed a specially signed note from one of the teachers to look in any of the restricted books, and he knew he'd never get one. These were the books containing powerful dark magic, never taught at Hogwarts, and only read by older students studying advanced defense against the dark arts. "What are you looking for, boy?" "Nothing," said Harry. "Oh, it was a madam. A madam? What are you looking for, boy?" "Nothing," said Harry. Madam Pince. Oh, fuck. Madam Pince is that one professor who looks kind of pretty cool if you think about it and stuff. Let me see if I can get a screenshot. She shows up only in a couple of scenes in the movies. She's a little older than you would expect based off the shots of her in frame. Madam Pince. This professor here. I have to go find and see if there are any pretty cool artworks, fan arts of her. Let me add her to my list of Harry Potter bitches. I imagine there are Harry Potter bitches. Let's add Madam Pince. But yeah, in the first movie, I think it's this one, this shot here, and maybe this one as well, where she looks like a goth mommy. And I know I've seen this actress in some other place. Madam Pince, IMDb. I've seen her somewhere else, but I don't know where. Sally Mortimer? She already has Mort in her name, so she's already like a goth mommy. What the fuck is this face? Oh no. I'm gonna have to post this. Why does she look like that? Oh my god. It's kind of like, but not exactly. I really don't recall where I've seen her before, but it must have been in some kind of a British show, a British program. Let's see. I feel like she's in Game of Thrones. Bravosi woman. Let's see her notable roles. I feel like I may have seen her in something when I was younger, like a kid's movie. Like Ogre 10 years ago. She's an actress in 21. Only 21 credits? What the heck, really? Okay, maybe it's Game of Thrones. Let's go see if I can find a screenshot of her. Let's see. Let's do Sally Mortimer. Game of Thrones. This is her in Game of Thrones. I am not familiar at all with this character. Fuck, I know I've seen her somewhere else, but I can't quite put my tongue on her. Let's see. So her credits are The Silence After Life, Doctors, Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery. It's a video game, so she voices her own character there. A show or a movie called Aux, as in auxiliary. Elizabeth I, Game of Thrones, Witch Hunt, A Century of Murder, My Imaginary Life, Her Ways to Rome, as in ROAM, Rome, A Cake for Mabel, Salt Grain, White Heat, Ollie Kepler's Expanding Purple World, The Harvest, Drop Dead Gorgeous, A Wire in the Blood, Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets, Daphne and Apollo, Give Us a Break, Freud, and The Brief. I don't know if these are her only movie credits, her only film credits. I don't know, something's bugging me. Like, I guess it could have. Oh my goodness, what the heck? There's feet in this movie? Oh my god, it's a fucking kid's feet. Oh my goodness. Is this fucking Tarantino responsible for that? Fuck, I don't even know. I feel like this is the character who I have in mind. Who's this from? Which? A Very Important Cake. Or maybe she just reminds me of somebody else. I don't really know. But we'll go investigate further another time. I'll keep that picture here, that funny picture of her, and we'll go look through that later. Fuck, I hate book bites. So why do they gotta be so fucking annoying? Fuck. Phew. I thought I'm starting to get a little hunky. Okay, so maybe after this chapter, when does this... What page does this chapter end? What the Christ? The moth just flew right in front of me. I'm fuck! Harvey, come get this moth! Harvey, help! Harvey, help! Ah! Fuck! Fucking leave me alone! Oh no, I gotta get this moth. Patches, get that moth! Fuck him up! Oh no! Get him! I gotta be right back. Holy Christ. Well, I think the moth escaped. Patches was pretty close to getting him, but I think she's always too gentle with the moths, so she can never actually clip the moth's wings. She just like chases them as if it's a toy. And Arby didn't see it at all. Okay, well if I start screaming randomly, then it'll be because there's a moth flying near me, and or I'm trying to avoid kitty claws. So if I start screaming randomly while reading, that's why. Okay. So we were looking at when this chapter ends, right? Let's see, it ends at page 214, and we're currently on the page... page 198. Oh my god, we still got quite a ways to go. We just started the chapter, I guess. Okay, so what I'll do is I will finish this chapter, and then I will take a break to eat. But while I am eating, we will listen to some YouTubes, do some commentaries there. Okay, let's get rid of this. I might be too hungry to finish this chapter, but we'll see. Okay, we were here. Yeah, Madam Pence is who we were talking to. Okay, I hope that moth doesn't come back over here and fuck me up. Otherwise, the kitties are gonna jump on me and scratch the shit out of me, and then I'm literally gonna die. Okay, here we go. These were the books containing powerful dark magic never taught at Hogwarts, and only read by older students studying advanced defense against the dark arts. What are you looking for, boy? Nothing, said Harry. Madam Pince, the librarian, brandished a feather duster at him. You'd better get out, then. Go on, out! Wishing he'd been a bit quick. What the heck, did you find him? What, did you find the moth? Why do you keep making bed noises? Go find the moth. Where is it? Is he under the bed? He's somewhere. If you find him, you get to eat him, okay? I don't know where he went. You gotta go look. He's not my hand. Gotta go find him. Gotta go fight the monster. Go eat him. Okay. Fight. Oh no, it's gonna be really fucked if I get spooked by the moth and then I spill my drink. Cause I've been too lazy. I haven't cleaned my water bottle's cap, so it's just open. It's exposed to the air. Okay, here with Madam Pittance, and she says you better get out. Wishing he'd been a bit quicker at thinking up some story, Harry left the library. He Ron and Hermione had already agreed they'd better not ask Madame Pince where they could find Flamel. They were sure she'd be able to tell them, but they couldn't risk Snape hearing what they were up to. Harry waited outside in the corridor to see if the two... Harry waited outside the corridor. Holy fuck, my tummy, dude. I don't know if that that went out to the mic, but it was like... Roar, roar. That's what my tummy sounded like. Roar. Harry waited outside in the corridor to see if the other two had found anything, but he wasn't very hopeful. They had been looking for 2 weeks after all, but as they only had odd moments between lessons, it wasn't surprising they'd found nothing. What they really needed was a nice long search without Madame Pince breathing down their necks. 5 minutes later, Ron and Hermione joined him, shaking their heads. They went off to lunch. "You will keep looking while I'm away, won't you?" said Hermione. "And send me an owl if you find anything. And you could ask your parents if they do. And you could ask your parents if they know who Flamel is," said Ron. "It'd be safe to ask them." "Very safe, as they're both dentists," said Hermione. "Ron, what the fuck? They're both muggles. They don't know nothing. They don't even know who fucking Dumbledore or Harry Potter are." "Did you guys find that moth yet? You better fuck him up." Once the holidays had started, Ron and Harry were having too good a time to think much about Flamel. Okay, I was looking at I was looking at the audio mixer there, and I saw it pick up my tummy, so it's definitely loud enough that it gets picked up, but I don't know if it's loud enough that it'll actually be discernible from just background noise or white noise in the background. Harry and Ron were having too much of a good time to think much about Flamel. They had the dormitory to themselves, and the common room was far emptier than usual. So they were able to get the good armchairs by the fire. They sat by the hour. They sat by the hour, eating anything they could spear on a toasting fork: bread, English muffins, marshmallows, and plotting ways of getting Malfoy expelled, which were fun to talk about even if they wouldn't work. Ron also started teaching Harry wizard chess. This was exactly like... Oh, fuck! Oh, no! Did you find him? Get him! Get him! Fuck him up! Where'd he go? Ah, fuck! He's on my leg! Ah! Where'd he go? Get him, Patches! I don't know where he disappeared to. He's gone. Oh, no. I know. Where'd he go? Oh, he's right there. He's right there. Under the bed. Get him. Right here. He's right there somewhere. You see him? Get him. Get him. Where'd he go? He's down there. He's under the bed. Go get him. Go get him. Did you see him? He's down there. I'm in here. He's down there. Go get him. Go look over there. You'll find him. He's down there somewhere. Is he there? I don't see him. Well, you almost had him. Just keep an eye out there, okay? Well, the moth made a brief appearance, but Patches chased after him, but he's gone again under the bed probably. Okay, where were we? Wizard chest, right? Thinking ways to get Malfoy expelled. Ron also started teaching Harry wizard chess. This was exactly like Muggle chess, except that the figures were alive, which made it a lot more like directing troops in battle. Bitch, it's already like directing. It's literally already. Fucking Joanne. What's her middle name? J.K. Rowling. She has no middle name? The K is just for her pen name? Joanne Rowling is just her actual name. Best known by her pen name, J.K. Rowling. Joanne Rowling! Literal Muggle regular chess is already like it's already simulating actual battle. What the heck? Dumb estúpido women's. Imagine? Imagínate? This was exactly like Muggle chess, except that the figures were alive, which made it a lot like directing troops in battle. Ron's set was very old and battered. Like everything else he owned, it had once belonged to someone else in his family. In this case, his grandfather. However, old chessmen weren't a drawback at all. Chessmen? Is that what it's called? A chess set? I guess it kind of makes sense. Let's see. Chessmen. Or I guess he means like the pieces. Yeah, okay, the pieces. Old chessmen. I would just call it chess pieces. I have never once seen it referred to as chessmen. However, old chessmen weren't a drawback at all. Ron knew them so well, he never had trouble getting them to do what he wanted. Harry played with chessmen Seamus Finnegan had lent him, and they didn't trust him at all. Oh, okay, so I guess it means like in this case being alive, and it being more like actually leading troops into battle is more akin to actually having to deal with the rowdy soldiers and the difficulty of cooperation and the leadership and having to actually have a sense of command and order. So I guess that's what she's trying to say here. Harry played with chessmen Seamus Finnegan had lent him, and they didn't trust him at all. He wasn't a very good player yet, and they kept shouting different bits of advice at him, which was confusing. Don't send me there. Can't you see his knight? Send him. We can afford to lose him. On Christmas Eve, Harry went to bed looking forward to the next day for the food, and there's like a little marking here on the page that was scanned, and I couldn't tell if looking forward to the food and the rum or the sun, but it's actually the fun. So that was a little funny. You see him, RB? Go get him. Fuck him up. Fuck him up. On Christmas Eve, Harry went to bed looking forward to the next day for the food and the fun, but not expecting any presents at all. When he woke early in the morning, however, the first thing he saw was a small pile of packages at the foot of his bed. "Merry Christmas," said Ron sleepily as Harry scrambled out of the bed and pulled on his bathrobe. "You too," said Harry. "Would you look at this? I've got some presents." "What did you expect? Turnips?" said Ron, turning to his own pile, which was a lot bigger than Harry's. "Ron, dude, he's literally never had a single present ever in his life. Ron, bruh, come on. Think about it for like 2 seconds." Harry picked up the top parcel. It was wrapped in thick brown paper, and scrawled across it was, "To Harry from Hagrid." Inside was a roughly cut wooden flute. Hagrid had obviously whittled it himself. Harry blew it. It sounded a bit like an owl. A second, very small parcel contained a note. "We received your message and enclose your Christmas present. From Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia." Taped to the note was a 50-pence piece. Oh my god. Here we go. Have 50 cents for Christmas. Nice meme. "That's friendly," said Harry. Ron was fascinated by the 50 pence. "Weird," he said. "What a shape. This is money?" "You can keep it," said Harry, laughing at how pleased Ron was. Hagrid and my aunt and uncle. So, who sent these?" "I think I know who that one's from," said Ron, turning a bit pink and pointing to a very lumpy parcel. "My mum. I told her you didn't expect any presents and—" "Oh no," he groaned. "She's made you a Weasley sweater." Harry had torn open the parcel to find a thick hand-knitted sweater in emerald green and a large box of homemade fudge. "Every year she makes us a sweater," said Ron, unwrapping his own. "And mine's always maroon." "That's really nice of her," said Harry, trying the fudge, which was very tasty. His next present also contained candy, a large box of chocolate frogs from Hermione. That reminds me, I have a chocolate frog of my own. But I don't have the camera set up, and I think I need to restart OBS for it to turn on. Yeah, it's not connected right now. But I'm gonna have to do that next time. But it would be inappropriate to eat the chocolate frog, to do a chocolate frog taste test when I'm not doing anything Harry Potter related. So I guess we'll try to see if I can leave some Harry Potter. Maybe we'll leave like the last 2 or 3 chapters. And then for next Harry Potter reading stream, we'll see if I can do the chocolate frog taste test then. A chocolate frog from Hermione. This only left one parcel. Harry picked it up and felt it. It was very light. He unwrapped it. Something fluid and silvery gray went slithering to the floor, where it lay in gleaming folds. Ron gasped. "I've heard of those," he said in a hushed voice, dropping his box of every flavor beans he'd gotten from Hermione. "If that's what I think it is, they're really rare and really valuable. What is it?" Harry picked the shining silvery cloth off the floor. It was strange to the touch, like water woven into material. It's an invisibility cloak," said Ron, a look of awe on his face. "I'm sure it is. Try it on." Harry threw the cloak around his shoulders, and Ron gave a yell. "It is! Look down!" Harry looked down at his feet, but they were gone. He dashed to the mirror. Sure enough, his reflection looked back at him. Just his head suspended in midair, his body completely invisible. He pulled the cloak over his head, and his reflection vanished completely. "There's a note," said Ron suddenly. "A note fell out of it." Harry pulled off the cloak and seized the letter. Written in narrow, loopy writing he had never seen before were the following words. "Your father left this in my possession before he died. It is time it was returned to you. Use it well. A very Merry Christmas to you." There was no signature. Harry stared at the note. Ron was admiring the cloak. "I'd give anything for one of those." It actually says one of these. Fuck. I'd give anything for one of these, he said. Anything. What's the matter? Nothing, said Harry. He felt very strange. Who had sent the cloak? Had it really once belonged to his father? Before he could say or think anything else, the dormitory door was flung open, and Fred and George Weasley bounded in. Harry stuffed the cloak quickly out of sight. He didn't feel like sharing it with anyone else. Wasn't he inside the cloak entirely invisible? Or I guess she didn't say, but... Oh, okay. Harry pulled off the cloak and seized the letter. Okay. Didn't feel like sharing it with anyone else. Merry Christmas! Hey, look! Harry's got a Weasley sweater too. Fred and George were wearing blue sweaters, one with a large yellow F on it, the other a G. Harry's is better than ours, though, said Fred, holding up Harry's sweater. She obviously makes more of an effort if you're not family. Why aren't you wearing yours, Ron? George demanded. Come on, get it on. They're lovely and warm. I hate maroon, Ron moaned half-heartedly as he pulled it over his head. You haven't got a letter on yours, George observed. I suppose she thinks you... I suppose she thinks you don't forget your name. We're not stupid. We know we're called George... Crap. I thought I read it wrong, but they're actually trolling. We're not stupid. We know we're called Greg and Forge. What's all that noise? Percy Weasley stuck his head through the door, looking disapproving. Looking disapproving? I don't think I've ever considered that phrase. I would have just said, like, with a look of disapproval, or... I mean, I guess it makes sense, looking disapproving. Did you find that moth? Where'd he go? You see him? I don't see nothing. Looking disapproving. Here we go. He had clearly gotten halfway through unwrapping his presents as he, too, carried a lumpy sweater over his arms, which Fred seized. P for prefect. Get it on. Percy, come on. We're all wearing ours. Even Harry got one. I don't want, said Percy thickly, as the twins forced the sweater over his head, knocking his glasses askew. And you're not sitting with the prefects today either, said George. Christmas is a time for family. They frog marched Percy from the room, his arms pinned to his side by his sweater. What the heck? There's a little tiny baby fly. Well, there was a little tiny baby fly, but now he's dead. See ya. Harry had never in all his life had such a Christmas dinner. 100 fat roast turkeys, mountains of roast and boiled potatoes, platters. What the fuck is this word? Chipolatas? Is that supposed to be? What the fuck is this? Chipolatas. Chipolata is a type. Stretch, a type of fresh sausage, likely created in France. Sausages by that name appear in 1903 edition. Well, I'm just going to keep calling it chipolatas because it sounds funny. It sounds like you're trying to say chipotle and chimichangas. Harry had never in all his life had such a Christmas dinner. 100 fat roast turkeys, mountains of roast and boiled potatoes, platters of chipolatas, tureens of buttered peas, silver boats of thick, rich gravy and cranberry sauce, and stacks of wizard crackers every few feet along the table. These fantastic party favors were nothing like the feeble muggle ones the Dursleys usually brought, with their little plastic toys and their flimsy paper hats inside. Harry pulled a wizard cracker with Fred, and it didn't just bang. It went off with a blast like a cannon and engulfed them all in a cloud of blue smoke, while from the inside exploded a rear admiral's hat and several live white mice. Up at the high table, Dumbledore had swapped his pointed wizard's hat for a flowered bonnet, and was chuckling merrily at a joke Professor Flitwick had just read him. Flaming Christmas puddings followed the turkey. Percy nearly broke his teeth on a silver sickle embedded in his slice. Harry watched Hagrid getting redder and redder in the face as he called for more wine, finally kissing Professor McGonagall on the cheek, who, to Harry's amazement, giggled and blushed, her top hat lopsided. What, you just want to listen to me reading? You like the Harry Potters? When Harry finally left the table, he was laden down with a stack of things out of the crackers, including a pack of non-explodable luminous balloons, a grow your own... Oh my goodness, I think that one was definitely picked up by the mic. It was like... kind of like that. Was laden down with a stack of things out of the crackers, including a pack of non-explodable luminous balloons, a grow-your-own warts kit, and his own new wizard chess set. The white mice had disappeared, and Harry had a nasty feeling they were going to end up as Mrs. Norris's Christmas dinner. The heck, is it raining? Maybe there's just more raccoons outside. They're trying to eat me Lucky Charms. Let's see, the white mices were going to end up as Mrs. Norris's Christmas dinner. Harry and the Weasleys spent a happy afternoon having I thought it said fruitful, but it does not say fruitful. Harry and the Weasleys spent a happy afternoon having a furious snowball fight on the grounds. Then, cold, wet, and gasping for breath, they returned to the fire in the Gryffindor common room, where Harry broke in his new chess set by losing spectacularly to Ron. He suspected he wouldn't have lost so badly if Percy hadn't tried to help him so much. After a meal of turkey... Oh, fuck, now I want a turkey. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a turkey sandwiches. Yummy, yummy. After a meal of turkey sandwiches, crumpets, trifle, and Christmas cake, everyone felt too full and sleepy to do much before bed, except sit and watch Percy chase Fred and George all over Gryffindor Tower because they'd stolen his prefect badge. That sounds like somebody I know. Someone who's too full, and then there's all sleepings. It had been Harry's best Christmas day ever. Yet something had been nagging at the back of his mind all day. Not until he climbed into bed was he free to think about it. The invisibility cloak and whoever had sent it. Ron, full of turkey and cake, and with nothing mysterious to bother him, fell asleep almost as soon as he'd drawn the curtains of his four-poster. Harry leaned over the side of his own bed and pulled the cloak out from under it. Holy fuck, it's like a fucking torrent. It's like when it's raining, it's just constantly pitter-pattering of rain. That's what it feels like with my tummy right now. Okay, we're at page 204 of 214, was it? Oh, fuck. I don't know if I'm gonna make it, boys. I'm gonna die right here. I'm gonna die halfway through this chapter. It's probably also probably a bit of a problem that she described all that yummy foods. So now it's making me even more hungrier than I already am. Oh, no, I can't. I'm too hungry. Fuck. Oh no, it hurts so bad. Okay, let me just drink some water and see if that can help satiate me for a little bit. By the time I make my turkey sandwiches, I'm probably not even going to be hungry anymore. My tummy's going to be like, oh, okay, fine. We're not going to eat them. Let me just hold off for a little bit. Let me munch some of this fat over here. And then we'll wait for another 5 hours until we'll tell you that we're hungry again. Watch, you heard it here first. Okay, so Harry leaned over the side of his own bed and pulled the cloak out from under it. His father's. This had been his father's.